Hello, welcome to the second part of my Q&A on my 7-year anniversary on YouTube. Let's finish this, okay? So next question is from Thomas Churchill. Is there a way to revive or save the spine to a square bound book or prestige format? Yes and no. Yeah, those kind of answer that's not gonna please anyone. With the modern books, the one with the hard cover and the square bound, and even the square bound that was made, say the Dark Knight series, those nice fancy stock. One of the damage that can happen with those kind of square bound is a crack right down the middle of the spine, lengthwise of the spine, because when you depend on how a reader open the books, it can crack the spine, and once that happens, it's over. Okay, that crack cannot be fixed ever. Okay, that book is forever damaged with that crack right there. Now with the older bronze, copper, or silver age, or the older square bound books that are glue, some are produced with flaws that look squished even though they were not pressed and damaged. Okay, there are plenty of square bound that was produced poorly, that does not have that square shape, and there's nothing you can do about that. Okay, and the one that was pressed poorly, unfortunately, you can push up against the spine to make it nice and flat. You can do that, but the integrity of the spine, the glue that hold that spine in that flat shape, is damaged already. Once that is damaged, the integrity of the glue has been damaged and the spine is damaged, there's no really way to make the spine square again and hold its shape. Does that make any sense? You can push, you can hold the book this way, right? And put pressure down on it to make the square, to make the spine flat. You can do that. But it won't take long for that book inside a mylar or in a slab to have that flattened look reappear. It's just physics, okay? You can't fight physics and gravity. All right? This next question is from God Loves Comics. If I can start a comic book company today, who would I fill out my bullpen with 6 artists? Ooh, tough one. Tough one. I think for me, it's just so many, okay? It's just on top of my head. I'm sure other people can name, but let's go with modern artists, okay? One modern artist that I think a lot of people don't put very high up, but he's very high up for me, is, I think the correct way to pronounce his name is Weiss Portacio. Weiss Portacio. When he and Jim Lee first hit the scene together, I was a fan of both, but I can tell you, I'm a bigger fan of Weiss Portacio, and I wish he did more work. I like his style more. I like the way he laid out the panels and the storytelling methods more, as well as his action panels. Everything that he did, I think he did better than Jim Lee did. Okay, for those that familiar with his work, you may or may not agree, but Weiss Portacio will be up there. It is number one as far as modern artists. My man, Kim Jong-gi, number two. I cannot ignore George Perez, because when it comes down to cover artists that just make awesome covers, yeah, there's 3 right there. And if I had to go old school, I will throw in my man Gil Kane, because nobody did more iconic Bronze Age covers than Gil Kane, right? So that's 4 right there. Number 5, the King, Jack Kirby. Number 6, my man, Gene Colan. That's my 6, okay? Yes, there I can easily swap 6 entirely different name in there, but for me, those are the 6 because many of those, like Gene Colan, he can do both, all the genre from horror to superhero. So I want to have at least 1 or 2 artists that can do both. Okay, yes, shocking, Neil Adams is not on the list, but that's too obvious, right? It's not because I don't want to add Neil Adams or John Byrne to the list, but I try to go with something that's not too obvious. But yeah, it's hard to ignore John Byrne and Neil Adams on the 6, but I try to be more diverse since everybody know I love John Byrne and Neil Adams already. Let's not go with the too obvious choices. Next question, John Lance, FF36, Medusa first appearances, that cover. Why doesn't Sandman go through the open window where the thing is standing? Yeah, it's one of those cover that, you know, if you look at the cover, you kind of just like, it's kind of silly, right? You know, Jack Kirby, as great as he was, definitely made some drew some questionable covers, and he's not far from making mistake. There is a Thor cover. I have the book, but I don't have it out or remember the number on top of my head. There's a Thor cover that he drew where there's a soldier on the cover using a mortar. Okay, one of those mortar where you drop the projectile in and it shoot. But he drew the soldier dropping I don't know what you call it, the projectile or the bomb, whatever it is, the wrong way. Okay, instead of like holding it with the right end so that it will drop in and shoot out, Kirby drew the soldier dropping the projectile the wrong way into the mortar. So there are errors out there, even from the greats. Okay, next up, George. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. George Khoury. Is there one key comic within your collection that would like to pass on to your son because of a personal attachment? The honest answer is none. You know, my special feelings toward any books is mine alone, and I do not expect my son to carry on my sentimental. Okay, that's just not how my brain works. Okay, if my son want to hold on to Iron Man 150 long after I'm gone to tell his kids this is grandfather most prized comic books because it's the first book, no, I don't expect that, and it should mean nothing for him. Okay, now if he wants to, that's on him, but as far as for me, I have zero expectation of passing on anything about this hobby to my son, because it's not up to me. Okay, I can talk about comic book all day, every day, as I have always been, but if he doesn't care about it, that's fine. It doesn't bother me one bit. Doesn't bother me one bit if 10 years from now he say I don't care about comic books. Not one bit. Next one is Biggie Grande. Biggie Grande. How do you keep yourself focused on certain collection? For instance, I would love to stick with ASM, Spider-Man, but other great deals pop up to steer me in a different direction. It's not easy to stay focused. Okay, I think anyone that in this hobby has violate what they want to collect because they see something else that got them distracted. You know, we all are attracted to nice shiny things. Okay, I've been there. I'm the last person that would say I can be focused. The reason why I have up to at one point I have over 13,000 books in my collection. The reason why is because I did a lot of willy-nilly buying. I'm just fortunate to be in a financial situation where I was able to buy a lot of stuff, even things I don't need, and still have the money to buy the things that I need. So I'm not making excuse for myself as far as, you know, being able to stay focused. But I can tell you, I got much more focused the last few years because I have an end game. I have the exit plan and I am disciplined enough to follow through with that. Okay? And a big part of the discipline is selling. It starts with selling. Once I was able to sell things, I learned that it's easier to be disciplined because if I buy something that I don't need or don't want, it's easy to get rid of it. I think those that are more of a collectors slash hoarders can't let go of anything. It's very tough for those kind of collectors to stay focused because they just can't stop themselves. It's an addiction. Okay, it's not about buying things you want or buying things you need, if that makes sense. The next question comes from Bonix. Knowing what you know now, would you have done differently during the peak of your comic book collecting years? Um, Occasionally, you hear me talk about missed opportunities or regrets that I passed on certain things in the past. Those happen, but in hindsight, I would not done anything differently as far as how I approached the hobby, on how I chose to spend my money in my early years. As much as I love the hobby in the early 80s, the mid 80s, the late 90s, my focus was more on being successful, achieving my running my own business. Those kind of little thing was, you know, I can talk about comic books all day long, even back then. But at the end of the day, my main focus and the most energy I put in was for my business because I knew the long term happiness for me in life is successful in business to provide the kind of lifestyle that I want. That's more how I am today. Sitting here, 53 years old, having basically a retired kind of lifestyle where I can sit around all day, watch Netflix and movies and make videos about comic books. How that can happen is a direct result of my focus in my early years where it was okay for me to not spend a lot of money on comic books. It was okay for me not to chase a lot of things. It's not okay. It was okay for me to not put comic book way above work and family. So I wouldn't change a thing. How I got here today is exactly directly the way I treat the hobby over the past 30 years as it is not that important. It's fun. Make no mistake, this hobby is fun, but unlike a lot of people, I'm not obsessed about this. People may think, oh my god, he make videos every day and he talking about not being obsessed. Really? If you love this hobby, is it so hard to talk about comic book 5 or 10 minutes a day? I find it odd that some people love this hobby so much but they can't spit out 2 words. That's more art than somebody like me who has all day, all kind of free time. So how other people like to spend their money or their time, it's not up to me, okay? It's not up to me to tell people how they should enjoy the hobby or how they should express the enjoyment of the hobby. I just find it odd when people criticize me on how I express my joy of this hobby. Daniel Golding, did you ever meet Jim Steranko? No, never have. What do you think of him in person if you met him? Well, since I never met him, unlike a lot of people, I don't really care to meet my idols or heroes, okay? To be very honest, a lot of people like to go to convention to talk to creators. I really don't care. I enjoy their works, but on the grand scheme of things, if you ask me if I can sit down and have lunch with 5 famous people, none will be comic book creators. None whatsoever, okay? Like I said, I love comic books, I enjoy comic books, but on the grand scheme of the thing, it is some of the least important things in life for me. Okay, what do you find more collectible? Mama Ja Jumbo asked this question. Mighty Marvel mini comics or wax pack Marvel stickers? I don't even know what wax pack Marvel stickers is. Wow, what are those? I don't know. Mighty Marvel mini comic. You're talking about those stamp size little one that came out in the 60s? And more collectible? Since I don't know what the heck wax pack Marvel sticker is, I would have to go with Marvel mini comics if that's what you're talking about. Those little stamp size book that come in multiple colors like orange and green and blue and red. If those are the one you talk about, I do have a couple of those. This is John Horn. If you could only have one run of 20 issues of one specific title, what would it be? X-Men. Byrne X-Men run, hands down, my favorite read of all time. Okay, when it come down to like, if I can include the entire run, no doubt. But if I had to pick just 20 issue, it would be, the not the last 20 issues of the John Byrne run, but the last book would be, of course, issue 137, The Death of Phoenix, and then they would start with 108. Oh, is that no 117? Would be 118 to 137, I guess. That would be the run. Hazel Coffee Nut. Where do you see yourself in the hobby 10 years from now? Hopefully gone. Gone for good. And that's an honest answer. As many of you know, my plan is to start selling off at least 2,000 or around 2,000 of my keepers in the next 7 years. If I can do it quicker, I have my plan of 7 years, but heck, if I can do it in 4 or 5, even better. Okay, trust me. If I can do it in 2 or 3, even better. So 7 years is the plan, but if I can get out in 3 years, even better. Now, does that mean I'm gone from the hobby for good? For the most part, if I sell the 2,000 books that I want to get rid of in the next 3 to 5 or 7 years, what's left is the 1,000 keepers. And one big plan I have for 2020 is to buy a lot less. Okay? I don't need or care or want to buy a lot of stuff. And flipping books to get the money to buy more books was a game I played for the past few years. But now that I'm getting to the end of the tunnel thing, when I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna start to sell more than buying. I just I'm happy, I'm content with where I am is with as far as my keepers. So yeah, in 10 years, hopefully you will not see a comic book video from this channel. Okay, that would be a success for me is, and I'm sure many people will be saying, yay! Wait 10 years to not see him on YouTube? Damn! Next, we got a bunch of questions from Silver Age Dave. Where did you get that cool hat? I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm guessing these hats. Well, if you pay attention, Patrick did give me a hat that said "winning," hashtag winnings. That's from Patrick on my birthday. But as far as all of these hats, whatever color, black or I have, my wife bought a bunch of them. She bought me like a half dozen hat from like blue, a couple of different shade of red, even a black one. I misplaced a couple of them because I'm not sure what happened to them over the years. But she bought them many years ago from a Nike outlet. There's a Nike outlet near here, maybe 30 minutes drive, and she went there, gosh, 10 years ago, and bought a half dozen hats for me because before that I had a lot of other baseball hats. I had, and I wore my hat many different ways over the years. I don't understand you know, all the different ways, but way back in my younger days, sure, did I wear my hat this way a lot? Absolutely. It doesn't bother me one way or another how people wear their hats. To me, it looks silly, but it may look silly, but it doesn't bother me. Okay, because I say hey, it look kind of dumb to wear your hat a certain way or whatever it is, but obviously some people like it. Okay, if this look dumb for everyone, kids won't be wearing the hat that way, right? But my son Anthony, he's not big on baseball cap at all. Let's see, did I mess up the question? Let's see, other question. Do you know Tiger Woods? No. Last meal and last comic to read. I hate to say this. I don't care enough about comic books so that if it's on my deathbed, there won't be any comic book nearby. But last meal, hopefully I have teeth to chew on some chicken wings. Yeah. Next question, David Scalzo. What's your favorite John Buscema covers? See, this is a kind of question that's impossible to answer. This is why I have favorite cover of all time, breaking down in subcategory as far as title and superhero and artist, right? So I can't say my favorite. But if I had to name one, it'd probably be Silver Surfer issue 3. The nice red cover with Mephisto, just to give you an answer. But the honest truth is, I don't really have an answer. I can't. Other people can. Many collectors, I'm sure, can say their favorite this, their favorite that. I am the last person that will give you absolute comments on anything. You know, my favorite food for sure is chicken wings. But when it comes down to comic books, favorite story, favorite cover, favorite artist, favorite this, I can't do it. Next up is Jimmy C. I'm not sure if this was a question or not, but comment on a good show to watch and why. I'm not sure if, what kind of question that is, or even if that's a question. Comment on a good show to watch and why. I There's a lot of good show to watch. My favorite new there's more bad show than good show, no doubt about it. But my favorite recent new show to watch is Westworld. I can't wait for season 3. Cannot wait. That will be the next time I resub to HBO is when season 3 of Westworld come out. What is your fondest and most memorable experience from doing YouTube videos? This is from TH Comics. Ooh, ee, yikes! Yeah, that's a kind of question. That what's the fondest, most memorable experience from doing YouTube video? Meeting other collectors. Next question from Steve and Spock. What's your favorite comic related TV shows? Hands down, Spectacular Spider-Man the animation, because out of everything that Marvel and Disney or Sony has put out, the one show that I have rewatched more than anything else is the Spectacular Spider-Man animation series, the 2 season. Fantastically done. Love it. Okay, so next up we have David Valdez. Question. Best pho in Sarasota, Pho Kali on Main Street. When Goomba and his fiance came to Sarasota 2 summer ago to visit, well, they down here for vacation, and we met up for pho. That's where I took them. So anybody that ever come to Sarasota and want to meet up for Vietnamese food, that will be the same restaurant I will take you to. Do you think the MCU will have continued success once all the top tier heroes are used up? That's a tough question. We still had the Fantastic Four, the X-Men. There are so much more, so much more. Okay, the question is not about whether the top tier. Let's rewind the clock real quickly. Iron Man was not top tier. Okay, he was not. He became top tier. So we are far from top tier being used up. The big question is what kind of storyline that they can create that will span over the next decade that will get people excited. Okay, so that's the bigger question. I'm gonna leave it up to Marvel and Kevin Feige and the writers to come up with something interesting. I'm not the person to say that the Avengers Infinity is the best. It would never top that. You know me, I don't try to make absolute statements. And this is the last question. If I miss anything, my apology. I tried to go through the entire list. Nicholas Gear asks, what's your most memorable video in your 7 years of YouTube? The first one. Because I made that video to share with a few close friends or people that I consider friends. I did not expect more than the 3 people that I shared that video with to watch that video. Okay, I said this many times before. I was not aware of the YouTube comic book community whatsoever. I have watched many YouTube videos that has comic books in them over the years prior, such as documentaries on Stan Lee or Neil Adams or Jack Kirby. I have seen many of those videos, but I never actively even care or search for anything else on YouTube. So when I made that short video to share with the 3 friends, and next thing you know, 50, 60, 100 people watch it and comment on it, that's when it's just like, whoa, what's going on here? Other people care what I had to say about this hobby? So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoy all the answers. Thank you for all the questions. Until next year. Bye-bye.